Almost nobody in Manchester paid much attention when a relatively unknown American investor bought a 2.9% share in Manchester United in the autumn of 2003. During the following year, Glazer and his sons quietly hoovered up shares of the club until they owned just shy of 30%. By the summer of 2005, they'd agreed to purchase 98% of Manchester United for $1.3 billion US. But why and how exactly did this happen?
It seems that protest is building up outside and inside Old Trafford.
The Glazers, they're not about the club.
Well, you may have heard of the term leveraged buyout. It's actually a fairly common occurrence in almost all industries, and it's becoming more common in football too. To understand how the Glazers were able to perform this financial chicanery, we need to first understand the financial state of Manchester United prior to the Glazers entering the picture. Put simply, they had zero debt. They had a considerable amount of cash in the bank and no borrowings. That, paired with the fact that they were one of the biggest clubs in one of the most profitable football leagues in the world, and you get a pretty attractive investment opportunity. United could then be compared to a house that has no mortgage and has essentially been fully paid up. The owner of that house can then take out a mortgage against the house and use it as collateral. Except in this case, the money received from the mortgage would go to a prospective buyer of the house, aka the Glazers, and then they would return the money to the original house owner in exchange for the rights to the house. This is pretty much what the Glazers did with United. They basically said to the other shareholders, hey, we want to buy your shares at a price you will be willing to sell. However, we don't quite have the money right now, so the club should just take out a loan using its assets as collateral in order for us to raise enough funds to purchase the necessary shares. And since Manchester United would be the ones taking out the loan, and the club, unlike the house in our example, is an entity on its own, the owners themselves would not be responsible for the debt they essentially took out to purchase the club in the first place.
That just happened.
United borrowed £700 million. They've paid £868 million since 2005 in interest payments, and the principal debt hasn't gone down at all. Some Manchester United fans opposed the Glazers' takeover of the club, particularly once they realized the level of debt that the club would have to take on after having been debt-free for so many years. This frustration has only grown in the years since, culminating in massive riots outside of Old Trafford before a match against Liverpool in 2022. In November of that same year, the Glazers announced that they were exploring their options with regards to their ownership of the club, which could include the sale of a portion of the club or even the club as a whole.